Hi, everybody. Welcome to the November 17th, 2017 edition of Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Let's get right to it. Let's get a quick take on Democratic lawmakers Ed Perlmutter and Michael Bennet, both introducing legislation aimed at pausing the deportation of a Colorado man. According to media reports, Milicio Andazola Morales was detained by ICE at a meeting to get his green card. Morales' lawyer, Hans Meyer, plans to ask for temporary permission to remain in the U.S. while a final decision is made. Patty Calhoun from Westward, there are a variety of pieces here, but I guess the biggest one that stood out to me is that this is legislation in Congress during a time that I don't imagine a lot of Democrats are going to get a lot of legislation passed, but I don't know the details. What are your thoughts on what's developed?
Well, my thoughts are they're going for as much attention as they can, not just on this case, but on other bad cases where ICE is violating its own policies, detaining people, sometimes sending them away. In this case, his daughter goes to Yale. She knows how to stir things up. But he went to this meeting thinking he was going to get his green card. He had jumped through all the hoops, and instead he was detained. So there are fights on many fronts. Hans Meyer, who's been here, he's been a panelist, is a tough fighter. He's fighting for him. He's fighting for several other cases, and this is not going to be the last we hear about this one case or many others going on in Colorado right now.
Greg Silverman, attorney with Silverman & Levis, also a talk show host on KNUS every Saturday morning. This seems to continue the real spotlight immigration it has on Colorado right now. And I don't know if that's going to be good or bad for Colorado, especially knowing the national climate. What do you think?
First of all, this law enforcement technique of luring people in, it's routine in other contexts. So police are allowed to mislead, and there's no consequence to it. I think that, as the governor has discovered with the case of Renee Lima Marine, when you give special treatment to an individual, others say, well, what about me? This particular individual has an activist daughter who is very well spoken, and her success going to Yale, it's undeniable. But what about other people in that exact same situation? Hans Meyer is a superstar lawyer in this field. He's getting out all the big cases. He's committed, but special legislation for one person, don't count on that happening.
Eric Sonne, political analyst. So with a Republican majority in Congress right now, and this being focused on one person, is this basically a way to just magnify the publicity about this by Perlmutter and Bennet?
Well, I think it is. I think Patty is correct on that. This is about the press and about the putting this thing under a much brighter microscope, hoping that will be somewhat of a deterrent to ICE and hopefully hoping that buys some more time. I understand everything or much of the need for a country to control its borders, have limits on immigration. I get all that. I even agree with a good chunk of it. But I'm sorry, we can be a more humane country than this. And even to Craig's point, even if this is sometimes police practice, this guy was not running from the law. He was running toward the law to play by the rules and thought he was in line to get his green card, to get his papers. And to go on to walk in the front door with those hopes that had been fomented, and under those circumstances, and then to be taken into custody. Yes, life is unfair that he has a daughter who is articulate and connected and all that, and other people don't have that kind of daughter. But hopefully, first of all, that daughter might be somewhat of a credit to this gentleman, Mr. Morales. And be that as may, hopefully this spotlight will help other people in similar situations who don't have the benefit of that spotlight.
Penfield Tate, attorney with QTech Rock, also a longtime state lawmaker. I have to be honest, when I saw the headline first about it being a private bill, I really didn't know what that meant. And I don't know if that's a big part of this, if that's an important factor or it's a detail that really we need to not worry about it. So with your lawmaking experience, thought you might be able to shed a little bit of light on that and what we really should take away from the big story.
The fact that it's a private bill is irrelevant because, as everybody else has pointed out here, number one, the bill's not going to pass. Number two, it wasn't introduced to pass. It was introduced to make a statement and to try to wake up other legislators. And I think the point's been made by several of the panelists. You have here a person who was playing by the rules. Even if you think our immigration system is woefully broken, Here is someone who has figured out how to navigate that broken system and is playing by the rules. And now what you have, and there's no way to sugarcoat it, is our government has lied. They told the man, come in for your interview for your green card, and they never intended to interview him for his card. He was going to be arrested and detained. It's a lie. And you can call it misleading police practices and whatever you want to call it, but our government lied to someone trying to act within the law to play by the rules. Now, there's now the law of unintended consequences, which is why should anybody else who was thinking they were going to play by the rules, why should they bother? Why should they respect the existing immigration laws? Because look, here's somebody who was doing that, and what's it gotten them? And I think that's what Bennett and Perlman are trying to do, is to basically sort of put that moral question on the floor of the U.S. Congress and say, what are we doing here? You know, even if you want to build a wall or do other things, everybody's talked about some sort of system. How can we have any respect or integrity for a system if we lie to people about what it means, what it stands for, and how it works?
That is all the time we have for CIO Postgame this week. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.